your question?
No, I was going to ask both of them. What a writer, because you guys would know best what the environment or image that you're trying to create looks like. And because I'm an artist myself, so I always see things in pictures in my head. I always see before I draw anything, I already see it complete in my head. Sometimes. And I just gotta do what I just pictured. But so for a writer's point of view, I'm wondering what you guys think, or what you guys envision. I don't know how a writer's brain works.
You have the gift, Harry.
Whatever it is.
We're so jealous. We're so jealous over here.
I wish I could draw. I wish I could just draw myself.
Well, because
writers have the same thing. We could picture it in our heads very easily. It's just getting it into paper and describing it is the challenge.
We're all in the same boat. I mean, we're all creatives, and I think it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's art or writing or cooking or paint or whatever it is, like music. It's all creativity, but it's I'm just wondering what each person envisions. You know what I mean? I'm wondering how they're because I always picture things first, and then I'm like, oh my god, it's a good idea. And
I see the most I see is in angles, like where the camera is positioned, and the flow of the page, and how many panels, and what I'm the beginning, middle, and end of a page, and thinking about it that way. And also it's all about mood for me. It's not necessarily about detail and what we're seeing in the background, but what the focus of everything is. And then the artist, what I find so amazing and surprising when I get pages back is all of those blank spots that I wasn't able to fill in my head, in terms of what kind of carpet it is, or what kind of cup it is, or all of those very detailed things that I wouldn't normally think of, but that need to be there. And the artist is there because they're able to be in that moment and see the necessity for those types of things, where for me it's more this is the heart of it, this is the heart of the panel, or the soul of the panel of the page, and then the artist dresses it up and makes it look way
they
better
kind of fill in kind of what you start in a lot of ways. I think I think that might be the best way to say it.
A good creative team would fill in the gaps in which there are oversight. So, when you are working, when you're working well with an artist.
And the other thing is too, it's all these little rules you got to kind of remember that kind of, I don't know if they hinder you or for example, you got to kind of when you got to work with page turns. You got to work with, you want to start a scene at the beginning of the top of a page, not in the middle of a page. Things like that. And it's so hard to do your story and then remember all that stuff on top of it. But it kind of flows in eventually, I think, as you're writing.
Yeah. It kind of becomes second nature as the more you do it.
I think so. Yeah.
Because
the way I write, I never recommend it to anybody because the way I do it is it's so backwards, but when I write my scripts for my comics, I write it almost like a screenplay, and I don't worry about how a page looks or how many panels and things like that. I just write it out so I can get all the dialogue out in one. Because I hate when you're trying to have a characters talk to each other, and you're gonna stop in between the dialogue and be going, panel 3. This is happening. It's I just want to have the flow of the conversation.
No, I do that. I do that too, because what I do is I'll write I usually write in chunks of pages. So if there's a particular scene, I'm okay, this scene, even if it's a dialogue heavy scene, I'm this is going to be 2 or 3 pages. And so I'll write the dialogue out most of the time. And then I'll go in and find the best points to start breaking it up, and okay, the flow of this conversation after this character says this sentence or reacts to this reveal or whatever it is, it's like that's when we need to cut and we need to go to a different panel, or a different portion of it. But that's kind of my guide, because you're it's interesting because it's like working that way, working backwards helps you move forward, because it would be like robotic and kind of forcing the conversation in a way if you're doing it thinking about the panel first, because then what the character is reacting to or what they're responding to, you would have to force them into that position, and that wouldn't feel natural on the page.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Keith, I write the way you do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But the script I'm working on right now, it's due tomorrow, actually. I applied
just
one
what
new
doing after the show tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta go, guys. Yeah.
And maybe a little bit tomorrow too. But the one thing I applied to the script I'm working on right now is that I tried not to make any scene longer than 3 pages, unless it absolutely justified it. And so this is paced out very differently, where like if I'm a reader, I don't want to spend 4 pages in the same sequence. I want to see different things. I want it to move.
You just don't want the talking heads, right? Like
exactly. And unless it was an action sequence that became a little bit more elaborate, I would only limit myself to up to 6. So like if it was one scene, like this scene happens here. So I played it kind of like a movie, but I made sure that every scene was only 3 pages, and then it always moved on to something new or keep it interesting.
Sci-Fi for Me is about to take you on an incredible journey into the realms of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Interviews with writers, filmmakers, artists, and actors. Conventions and fandom, previews and reviews of movies and television. Sci-Fi for Me is working to be the most popular science fiction magazine in the solar system. Subscribe now and enter the fantastic world of Sci-Fi for Me, delivering the multiverse since 2009.